This bothered me. Now, when I was first presented with this story, I felt I felt happy. When I first went over this story, I felt happy. So let's get into that first. John Wick. John Wick, as I've said for a long time, has been a great marker for the action genre, right? It has been something that a lot of people have come to even use as a descriptor for action movies, right? People be like, oh, this movie got John Wick action, right? Oh man, this has got that John Wick feel to it. Like, it's now when your movie can define other movies, you've done something great. And a lot of that credit has to go to the director, who was, I believe, a former stuntman, Chad Stahelski. And Chad has been the one that has been, behind the camera doing all the John Wick movies, which, by the way, the latest John Wick movie was a success. It was a very, very big success. And one of the things that he said in this interview was like, he shares his little bit of hesitancy about directing a Marvel movie, right? Because think about it. A lot of people have been thinking to themselves, yo, when can the John Wick director come through and do a Marvel movie? Like, that'd be great, right? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I said this before too. I was like, yo, why is he not doing Blade? Put this man in front of Blade. That's the number one thing you can do. Apparently, he addressed that. So, Chad Stahelski has shared his thoughts on potentially taking on the directing chair for an MCU project. When asked about his Blade pitch to Marvel, he remarked that he was one of the many that brought in takes on it. And the interviewer says, and you've played well, or potentially played in the world of IP before, right? You pitched Blade to Marvel Studios. And he says, I was one of many that brought in takes of it. Sure. That's the property I always thought was fascinating. I'm always fascinated by vampires and martial arts, so it seems like a good mix. What are we doing? You went and talked to Marvel? You pitched them a Blade movie? Like, what universe is this? What universe? This is what we've been saying, right? This is what we've been wanting, right? Like, am I the only one that wanted the John Wick director to do the Blade movie? Am I the only one? He goes on to say, is there anything else from that superpowered world that you thought you'd be interested in doing? And Stahelski said, honestly, Blade. Blade was probably my favorite kick out of that. But like, look, I'm a big fan of that genre. I love Batman. I love the Marvel world. I love the first Iron Man to death. I love James Gunn first Guardians to death. Those are all milestones, etc. First of all, I don't even care what the rest of you about to say. How did Marvel pass up on this? Excuse me for a second. Because I'm going to run this down one more time for the people that are new or you don't know the background. And I'm going to keep reminding people about this. Blade has probably been right now, on borderline the most disrespected property in the MCU so far. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to say it's borderline. Blade is currently the most disrespected property in the MCU right now. Blade single-handedly in the 90s sat here and saved the entire company. It saved the company. Now, some people might say, I see some people talking about this now, that the Hulk is the most disrespected. Now, don't get me wrong. The Hulk is disrespected, but there's still opportunity for redemption. Can't say that for Blade right now, because Blade ain't even on the screen at all. At least the Hulk has got a chance to redeem himself. Blade ain't even made an appearance outside of a voice. So yes, Blade, in my opinion, is the most disrespected Marvel property in the MCU, despite saving the company and making the MCU possible. Blade was announced in the 2018, 2019 Comic-Con or whatever with Phase 4. We went through a whole phase, did all these movies, did all these shows that were announced at the same time, and Blade only got a voiceover. You got two-time, say it one more time, two-time Oscar award-winning actor Mahershala Ali sitting there, unfortunately getting older. My man's hitting 50, and you put him in the title role of Blade, and for 4 years, it's collecting dust. 3-4 years, we've had a terrible script. Y'all sat on a terrible script for almost a year with nothing. How dare a company that wouldn't exist sit on a bad script for so long? Now, again, I don't know all the background stuff. I'm just going off of what we know for now. How dare y'all sit on this script and it be boo-boo and nothing happens? And then the director that y'all had dropped out right before production. Red flag after red flag after red flag. And then we getting reports that Mahershala Ali, your star, your two-time Oscar winner now. So we ain't talking about no chump. We ain't talking about no actor off the street. Two-time Oscar winner is sitting here not happy with how things are going. He's looking at the script. Supposedly the script had a lackluster action scene. How dare y'all? How dare anybody write lackluster action scenes in a Blade movie? And then now we hearing that the pinnacle director of the top genre-defining action movies actually had a meeting with y'all about this property and y'all passed? If Blade does not become one of the hottest things in the MCU when it comes out, Marvel should be ashamed. Marvel should be ashamed. Because to be honest, the fact that I know this now that I know that the John Wick director actually sat in an office, pitched the story to Marvel. We're not talking about some new hot director that no one knows about. We're not talking about some, somebody that did something else from some art house nonsense or whatever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the person who's been directing 4 movies that have only gotten better every single time and is primarily known for action, which, by the way, the Blade character is. You mean to tell me that after y'all sat on a bad script, y'all couldn't have found a different script, and this guy literally walked up in your office, gave you a pitch, and y'all passed? So that to me tells me 2 things. One of 2 things. Either Stahelski's script was terrible. Either it was terrible or his pitch, his story was that bad, or this current director that is not a household name. It's not somebody that we can name off the top of our heads or whatever. That guy must have gave y'all some straight up platinum, not gold. He gave y'all platinum. Because right now, I'm looking at this as like an NBA draft. You had Michael Jordan that wanted to play for your team, and you say, nah, I want Sam Bowie. But that was Michael Jordan. Okay, let's see what Sam Bowie got. Okay, now here's the thing. Like I said, maybe the current director has got something fantastic. Maybe he's got some sort of vision or a pitch that blew everybody away. That I'm leaving that door open, but damn it, now my expectations for Blade have just gone through the roof because I'm always going to go back thinking of what it could have been like if this new Blade is bad, or even if it's mediocre. If it's not great, I'm always going to think what could have been because we had the John Wick director right there. Do you know the level of excitement people would have had? Do y'all know what level of hype would have gone into this if the headline said John Wick director becomes the new head of Blade? Do y'all know how much people would be celebrating already? I'm sorry. There was actually more to that interview, and that news in itself bothered me. Let me read the rest of the news. I know I got a job to do. Stahelski also said, I just also think that there are people that get the IP better than me. I know my sweet spot. I do better when there are no limits. I do better when I can kind of bend the rules. I like to be a little bit more subversive. So it is kind of weird. Okay. This is where I'm sitting here thinking, like, you know what? First of all, I can respect that. I can respect any director that says, you know what? I like to do things I'm more familiar with. Now, granted, the first thing he said was Blade, and the thing he pitched to Marvel was Blade. So it sounds like he knows that. But because he says he likes to have a little wiggle room, because he doesn't want to have limits, that could be a viable reason why this wasn't going to work out with Marvel. Mainly because Marvel likes to let directors play in a very controlled sandbox, according to other people anyway. We've heard from like Matt Reeves, who does the Batman, and he was like, nah, I don't want to do that with Marvel, because Marvel's not going to let me do what I want to do. They're not going to let me expand the way I want to expand. So I'm going to hope that this is more of a situation where he just doesn't have control. And if he doesn't have that control, I can understand that. I don't like it because, in my opinion, give that man what he wants. I mean, seriously, my God, he would have made a rated R Blade too. Oh, I'm gonna have a real problem if this movie is mediocre. I'm gonna have a real problem with this. Okay, anywho, that is all for the Blade update. It was barely a Blade update, but whatever. What do you think about the John Wick director pitching to Marvel? Marvel clearly going in a different direction, but at the same time, the director saying like, yo, I like to do me. I don't want no handcuffs or nothing like that. No limits. Maybe we can respect that. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think in the comments down below.